Hi folks, Florida Man here. Today I'm going over a well-known diplomacy opening that Austria can employ on the classic map, the Southern Hedgehog. As the name suggests, the Southern Hedgehog is very similar to the standard Hedgehog opening, which we've discussed previously, although I would say this arguably improves upon the original. I'll discuss that further. The original Hedgehog opening, for those who may have forgotten, was Fleet Trieste to Venice, Army Vienna to Galicia, Army Budapest to Romania. The Southern Hedgehog changes this only by moving Budapest to Serbia instead of to Romania. So the Southern Hedgehog is Fleet Trieste to Venice, Army Vienna to Galicia, Army Budapest to Serbia. Again, Austria is striking out in all directions defensively, and again, this may not actually be a good move unless you're actually being attacked by both Italy and Russia. This opening does counter aggression from both Italy and Russia, but since you're moving Trieste to Venice, there's a very real possibility that you're just going to tick off the Italians, who may not have even been attacking you, although you may delay Italy acquiring any Austrian centers by doing this. As we mentioned in the standard Hedgehog video though, a prudent Italian might still work with you, even after you've done this move of Trieste to Venice, because they understand that Austria is always desperate to defend itself if it doesn't have secure allies in 1901, and there's also the fact that Venice is a lot less vulnerable to attack, and an attack on Venice is usually a lot less serious in 1901 and 1902 as compared to an attack on Trieste. The difference in the moveset from the standard Hedgehog comes in the east. Instead of moving Budapest to Romania, you're moving it to Serbia, and this makes a big difference in my opinion. First of all, you guarantee that you will have at least one build, unless Italy moved to Tyrolia and successfully outguessed you about where to go next. Even if Italy does that, you've guaranteed Serbia, and that may help position you for survival if you find yourself besieged by all of your neighbors. As with the standard Hedgehog, the fundamental assumption of this Austrian opening is that you're expecting to be attacked by at least two of your neighbors, a bad situation. But I think this opening is more effective for that situation. With Russia attacking you, we expect the Russian to open to Galicia and Ukraine, which means that if you had opened to Romania, you probably wouldn't hold it unless Turkey was miraculously on your side. By contrast, if you moved to Serbia, you might still be able to support an attack from Romania, either from Turkey's unit in Bulgaria, or if your unit landed in Galicia. In short, if Turkey is on your side, you're in either the same position or a better one with the Southern Hedgehog than you were with the standard Hedgehog. And if Turkey is against you, then the standard Hedgehog can have the very bad result of you being stuck with no builds, because Turkey bounces you out of Serbia in the fall, while with the Southern Hedgehog you should be guaranteed at least one. For these reasons, I would argue that for almost all possible scenarios, the Southern Hedgehog is a superior opening to the standard Hedgehog. I think this is why, in the meta of diplomacy games, the Southern Hedgehog has largely replaced the standard Hedgehog as the opening move for an Austria who is truly worried about attacks from more than one side and interested in launching a preemptive strike. This opening does still have one of the primary weaknesses of the traditional Hedgehog, though, which is that you may anger the Italian player by making an early anti-Italian move. But it does mitigate one of the other downsides of the traditional Hedgehog. This opening, which doesn't see you sneaking into Romania in spring 1901, is, I would say, less aggressive toward Russia, since you're only advancing into Galicia rather than both Galicia and Romania. It should be much easier to make up after taking Galicia or bouncing in Galicia than it would be if you walked into both Galicia and Romania. So this opening is better for the avoidance of burning bridges, it's much less of a de facto declaration of war, and of course you still have the option to attack Romania in the fall. This moveset is somewhat good in my opinion, but just like the original Hedgehog, it does have some limitations as to the circumstances under which it's really appropriate. Just like the original Hedgehog, this moveset reflects a strong suspicion of 2 out of your 3 neighbors that may actually be a self-fulfilling prophecy. In particular, I still don't think that the opening of Trieste to Venice is a necessary or desirable move most of the time. A wise Italian may forgive it, but many Italian players will not. You should gauge what the effect will be of such a move on Italy, if Italy might be friendly. If you think that an unexpected move of Trieste to Venice might cause some blowback, you should strongly consider at least actually telling Italy what you're doing, or perhaps not even doing it. There's not much downside to telling Italy that you would like a sort of coordinated bounce in Venice and Trieste, because Italy can't attack you effectively in Trieste if you're making this move, no matter what he tries, at least not in 1901. Knowing that you're going to do it isn't really going to help him much. On the other hand, the move to Galicia is probably not going to remove all possibility of befriending Russia. I would take the gamble of ordering a unit there more often than not, all things considered. I don't see too many other issues with the Southern Hedgehog. I think it is almost unambiguously better than the regular hedgehog under all but the most unusual circumstances. David Smith, in his 1993 article in Diplomacy World of Archdukes and Hedgehogs, A Look at Austrian Openings, concluded that the Southern Hedgehog was the best opening possible for Austria. On the other hand, in Richard Hucknall's 1980 article in Fall of Eagles, The Hedgehog, an Asset or a Liability for Austria, he calls both versions of the Hedgehog violent openings, which is accurate, and points out that although this opening really is warranted if Italy and Russia are both attacking you, it's really a pretty drastic measure that can only be useful in that situation. It's better for Austria to make arguments and try to get Serbia and Greece than to be stuck defending in this way, since if Italy and Russia are really allied against you and can't be pried apart from each other by argument, you'll probably only survive the next couple of years by finding some way to split them up anyway. So there will always be some disagreements about whether an opening like the Hedgehog and the Southern Hedgehog is really warranted, and with good reason. I still don't think they're necessarily the best openings for Austria, and at some point, we'll game that out on this channel. For now, I hope you enjoyed this opening overview. If you liked it, you should like and subscribe and comment. Comment for the glory of Florida Man diplomacy. And please join me in a little round of applause for our patrons and translators, credited here by name. You too can have your name on this wall of fame, so if you want it that way, don't delay. Start supporting Florida Man diplomacy in your very own way today. Until next time, Florida Man out.